Hey, Eric here with 30x40 Design Workshop. Last week's video was all about architectural building materials, how to go about choosing them. This week is the companion video to that with all of the resources. Now I want to talk about three things today. First, I want to talk about how I've been storing materials here in the studio, what I've done in the past and what I'm doing now. I want to show you how you can begin building your architectural sample library. And I also want to share with you all of the print, video, and online resources I've compiled to help you select materials. So let's get into it. Now, we're all limited by the amount of space we have available to store things, and material samples especially can take up a lot of room. Now, I've seen just about every type of storage rack used in offices where I've worked in the past, and I've tried a number of different things myself here in the studio, from metro shelves to archival folios, wood, felt, cardboard boxes, IKEA bookcases. Here's the problem with all of these. They all keep the materials out of reach and mostly out of sight. So they're great from an organizational standpoint, but because they play such a large role in my design process, I wanted them to be a more integral part of the studio, more accessible. So here's what I've come up with. It's a bun pan cart with aluminum sheet pans. Now this was inspired by the restaurant industry, and it's actually a favorite technique of mine in design, where I look to other disciplines to see what kinds of things they use regularly and see if I can repurpose that in my own work. Now, other places you might find inspiration poking around online are the automotive industry or the fishing and marine industries. There are farm supply catalogs, medical furniture supply catalogs, and of course there's the woodworking supply houses. Be sure to let me know in the comments if you have other favorites to share. Now, here's what I like about this cart so far for storing materials. It's intentionally limiting. There's only 10 slots, and so it forces me to keep only the things that I'm most interested in. I try to edit ruthlessly and keep it populated with only the materials that I'm really into or the ones that I'm researching right now. Now, number two, I like the archival, almost surgical feel of this kind of setup. These trays kind of elevate the materials, making them sort of these talismans of the design process. It's a little bit quirky, I know, but I really do like it for that reason. Number three, easy access. Now I touched on this briefly already, but filing things away in a separate space out of eyeshot or easy reach means I'm less likely to use them as talking points during a meeting or as inspiration for a design that I'm working on. Number four, casters. The casters allow me to roll the tray wherever I need it. Number five, I can use these trays to store other implements too, things like my studio essentials. That way I can use it when I'm model making, put everything on the tray up here, roll it over to the table where I can work and build a model. Now, number six, the tray. These make great backgrounds for photography projects. And honestly, the samples work well for photographic backgrounds too. Number seven, there's an interactive element to displaying materials in this kind of format. Clients can participate in selecting items to touch, and we can build palettes together on the fly. Having these samples available by your side at a meeting is a fantastic way to engage your client and sell your ideas. Now, granted, for larger offices, one of these carts may not be enough, but they do make taller ones. For this space and for my own personal taste, I like to have everything below eye level. Now, the cart itself is all aluminum construction, and although it ships unassembled, I was able to put it together in probably under 5 minutes. It comes with 4 polyester ball bearing casters, 2 of which lock, and the capacity they say is rated at like 485 pounds, something like that. They're 26 inches wide, 20 inches deep, and 38 inches tall. Now there's 10 slots for pans, but the top can also hold one, which I use to store and build the current material palette I'm working on, or my studio essentials as we talked about earlier. Now, a 3-inch shelf spacing means you can't store large materials here, but I think that's good for all the reasons we just discussed, right? Now, I bought mine for $92 on Amazon, and the companion aluminum baking sheets I purchased are 18 by 26 inches, and they're from Baker's Mark. I picked those up on the web restaurant store. They're heavy-duty 19-gauge aluminum, and they have a rolled-over wire rim. First, I want you to consider what you want to include. A good place to start is by using the Csi Divisions, the ones architects use to specify materials. See, our specifications are kind of like an instruction manual that we hand to contractors when they're getting ready to build the building. And these are broken down into 16 broad categories, things like concrete, masonry, metals, wood and plastics, hardware, finishes. And then each one of those categories is further broken down into subcategories. For example, under finishes, a subheading might be ceramic tile. Now, a comprehensive library will have a little bit from each division. Depending on space limitations, though, yours may be intentionally smaller and more focused. Now, when sourcing, the first place to start is with the manufacturer of the materials you're interested in. Most will offer free samples to architects and designers. You can query the search term sample request and manufacturer's name, simply fill out their form, and you should have samples within a few days. If you can't find a sample request form, just give them a call and ask for the architectural sample department. Tell them you're an architect or a designer and you're working on a project and you'd like to have a sample. It's good practice to have the project name at the ready, as they're probably going to ask you for it. Now here's another tip. You should request the smallest sample possible to keep the footprint as small as you can. Also, think about any fabricators in your area that utilize the materials you're interested in. Cabinetry shops, furniture makers, metal shops. These can all be great places to source materials and actually meet with other professionals who likely know a lot more about the material you're looking to work with than you do. Window suppliers are another great resource. They offer these handy sample rings with wood and color chips on them, and sometimes really nice hardware chips. Search online for concrete, metal, hardware, paints, leather, fabric, tile, stone, glass. Google is your friend here. I've never had trouble getting a free sample from a manufacturer, and only occasionally have I had to pay shipping costs if the samples were unusually large or especially heavy. I'll have other books linked up in the cards, but I want to spend a little time on what I would consider to be the Bible on materials, and that is this book, which is called Constructing Architecture. It's edited by Andrea DePlazis. It's an absolute beast. It weighs in at 560 pages, and it costs about $70 US. It's a steal for such a valuable reference manual, though. Granted, the writing is a bit scholarly and sort of thick at times, and the imagery is only in black and white, but the collection of essays alone is worth every penny. The diagrams are just brilliant, and it's sensibly divided, and it will feed your intellect on every level. I think if you buy one book on materials, it should be this one. Check out the cards and the description below for additional books that I like, but I think you should start here first. You won't be disappointed, I promise. Okay, now video resources. The Netflix Abstract series, I've talked about this before, but if you haven't seen the Ilsa Crawford episode yet, at least from a materials standpoint, I think it's a must watch. I've also recorded a number of videos on this channel discussing materials and my personal obsession with them, and so I've linked those up in a playlist in the cards and in the description as well. One of my favorites and a good starting point for you is the Harvard GSD's Material Collection Primer. It's a beautiful free PDF guide. It'll get you thinking about materials a little bit differently. It's illustrated with images of materials in use, and it's sort of a free-form listing of the potential materials you may want to investigate further. Also on the GSD site, they maintain a list of links to other material sources. Along the same vein, the University of Texas at Austin has an online database of their nearly 28,000 samples. And I think they might do well to watch this video to pare it down a bit. What do you think? Now, I mention this because academic institutions, if you live near a college or university, oftentimes will maintain a sample library, so you can go there and investigate. Now, there's Transmaterial, which is run by Blaine Brownell. It's a nicely curated collection of sort of cutting-edge materials, nicely categorized, and Blaine's also published a couple of books of the same title too. So if that site's layout and format interests you, you can find more information there. Material Connection, they host a materials database. Now, this one is a subscription-based model, but I mention it because if you're at a university, you may already have access through your academic institution, so check with them. Then one of my personal favorites is located in Boston, Massachusetts. It's Stone Source. Browse their beautiful image database, and if you're an architect, request samples for your projects here. Now, there's also Pinterest. Pinterest is one of my absolute favorites. Pinterest allows you to curate your ideas into boards. I use those to further collate images and ideas on a per project basis. And these can be private or they can be collaborative, they can be shared among teams or your client. One of the best features about Pinterest is its visual search function. You can actually window in on an image. So let's say you find an image of a piece of steel, zoom into a corner of that steel, you want to find other images that are like that. Pinterest will actually sort through their entire database and give you a best fit match for those. This can help you discover new architectural references, new material references, and just sort of connect the dots in a way that just doing a regular Google image search doesn't. So this has been a lot about materials, a lot of resources here, a lot of things to think about. I would encourage you to start building a small sample library using just a couple of things, a couple of wood samples, a couple of concrete samples, just to get the sort of creative juices flowing. You can then start building your material library from there and constantly edit and pare down to only the essentials. Keep it fresh, keep it interesting. Now, if I've helped you at all with this video, I hope you'll consider liking, sharing, and commenting below. Please let me know your favorite materials resources. Doing this helps me build the channel and to know that I'm making the kinds of videos that you're interested in watching. Cheers.